lake has only existed for a few years. But these two men remember very well how it used to look here. For decades, the lignite or brown coal was mined here without any regard for humans or the environment. Where there are now boats, there used to be a gigantic pit.
When it was still an open-cast mine, it was a very interesting landscape. It was like a desert which hadn't existed in Central Europe up till then. It was bizarre as far as the forms and the colors were concerned. When it was windy, there used to be real dust storms. Some days, if I was driving along here in the car, I had to put on my headlights.
The brown coal from the open-cast mines was used to power one of the biggest and most toxic chemical works in the whole of Europe. This building is all that's left. Fred Wankel is head of the district's Construction and Environment Department. He has overseen the closure and the demolition of the dilapidated plants over the last 20 years.
This whole area measures 10 square kilometers. It was a town within a town. And by 1989, there was no unused land here. The entire area was covered with chemical plants.
It's not so different here nowadays on the industrial estate, except these factories are all new. 11,000 people work here, according to the estate's managing director.
The first attempt at privatization in the 1990s failed. The Price Daimler Group has been involved here since 2001, and we have invested 230 million euros in the infrastructure alone, and another sum in the hundreds of millions in the buildings. Then businesses have invested 1.5 billion euros. Money was also invested before 2001. That adds up to a total of 5 billion.
Chemical substances are transported in these new pipes. The ones that they replaced were leaky and dangerous.
Back in the 1960s, I remember becoming a victim of environmental pollution here. I sat down here on a park bench. The stains on my trousers never came out, and 3 weeks later they were holes. The apprentices here learned not to walk under the leaky pipe joints because it wasn't good for their hair, and not to walk in puddles to save their shoe soles. That's no exaggeration. We can really be glad this environmental disgrace is over.
There are now 360 firms based here. Bayer is the most well-known. The pharmaceuticals giant came here because of the pool of skilled workers. People like Wolfgang Bauheine, who used to work in a chemical factory in East German times and who quickly found a new job.
Of course, I find the standard of living here good, otherwise I would have left. The countryside here is lovely. A lot has changed. There are great parks, we have woodland and rivers. It's great. All that's missing perhaps are a few mountains, but you can't have everything.
And the local authority is doing its best to make sure there are enough well-trained staff in the future. At the vocational college for lab technicians, the students only know from hearsay that Bitterfeld was once deemed Europe's most toxic town.
It's not like before, with the new technology in the plants, all of the filters.
Yeah, they're making sure that things aren't like they were in the past. I mean, you can tell. We're still alive.
And we'll be around for a while.
In East German times, pollution turned the facades of the buildings black. Now the historic town center has at least been partly renovated, and Bitterfeld is once more worth a visit.